Hello, my name is David Duffy. This is sharing my thoughts about healing depression. This is in our series, Healing Thoughts number 10. It is normal for a person to feel disappointment and sadness when they lose a friend, a relative dies, they fail in a test, they don't have a success. That's normal because feelings of disappointment are attached with failure. However, depression, clinical depression that we call it, is a more serious symptom. The person is deeply depressed. They lose their motivation. They cannot function. They isolate themselves and can't socialize. They cannot function at work. Sometimes they're restless and they can't sleep. Other times they sleep practically all day. They just hibernate and can't get up, can't do anything. This can be a very serious condition. They don't eat properly, they lose weight, they feel weak. Now, in modern medicine, we've gone through several explanations. The Freudian psychoanalytic model will say that negative thoughts are coming from the unconscious. Since the 1980s, there has been proposed a more biochemical explanation of depression. There is a deficiency in the neurotransmitters that the brain uses to have feelings and emotions. So they discovered certain drugs that made a person feel better in depression. One of the early ones was called imipramine. And that had a way of building up the concentration of the neurotransmitter norepinephrine and serotonin. When a person thinks, the nerves release transmitters to connect one nerve to the other. Okay, in order to move a muscle, my brain has to activate that nerve to trigger the muscles to contract. And we have similar things to help the mechanism of the brain to think and feel and talk and speak and see and all those things. Okay. So they started giving medicine to boost up the chemistry of the brain, and it took a long time for that to have an effect. You might have to take the medicine 6 weeks before the effects were seen. And sometimes you try one, sometimes you try another. When older people were severely depressed and they didn't respond to medicine, they used shock therapy, electroconvulsive therapy, where they gave a shock to the brain to cause a seizure. And it was sort of like rebooting the computer, starting over. And this is similar to therapy when a person has a cardiac arrest. They have electric shock of the heart to kind of depolarize, kind of release all the normal hormones and build up again. That they will give you anesthesia not to have a seizure, not to move your muscles and stuff like that. But those are not really curing the problem. We can't get enough happiness from just a drug. So what is the difference between sadness and happiness? Why do we feel certain ways? Well, there's a very complex biochemistry of that. When a person makes an effort and succeeds, they feel good, they feel joy, they have that feeling inside that's real, that has been activating parts of the brain. The parts of the brain that feel love, self-esteem, goodness. Where do you get those feelings? Many people feel good because of their faith, their religious beliefs, their love of God and recognition of blessings and things like that. For instance, a Muslim person is taught to believe in Allah and pray to him 5 times a day and engage in works of charity and love. And they are very disciplined about that, and they are very good at that, and that makes them have a purpose in life. In the Sikh religion, they recite the name of God in a reverent way a lot. In the Bible, it says, we love God because he first loved us. Now, in the mechanism of life, there are attached experiences that are good and bad. One of the scriptures says, wickedness was never happiness. When a person does something evil and makes a mistake and hurts somebody, they feel bad about it. That's normal, that's proper. And that's supposed to remind you to do something good. You feel happier when you do good versus when you do bad. What else needs to be done? A person is discouraged, a person is depressed, they haven't been functioning for months. Sometimes if you just let it happen and the person kind of wakes up after 3 or 4 months, that's possible. But if we're going to heal depression, we really need to get to the source of the problem and correct that. Okay, let's see how depression might occur. A person may have a personality that is pessimistic or anxious. And when their mode of thinking is worrying constantly, getting upset, being afraid, not avoiding things, and just spending a lot of mental energy feeling negative. That's like leaving the light on and wasting electricity when it's not in use. What can we do? How can a person be happy? Well, in some sense, that's a decision that we need to make. If we find ourselves thinking negative thoughts for a long time, can we say, hey, stop, and turn our attention to something positive? Now, this is not like going to a party and yelling and screaming or or going to a rock and roll concert and getting excited and happy, that's a vicarious joy that's really entertainment, not true happiness. Because when it's over, you're left empty. We're talking about investing in something that is valuable to the person, to discipline the mind, to engage in activities that is rewarding, that builds your self-esteem, that allows you to succeed. And getting a pill and talking about your feelings once a week or something has some benefit, but to be self-reliant and participate in the healing, the patient needs to do more than that. Are they afraid? Do they need to overcome fear? Are they shy? Do they need to interact more with people and feel comfortable? It can be a complicated process. We want people to feel encouraged, to feel loved, and certainly depression needs love as an antidote. Now, we're talking about, as a cure for depression, we're talking about spiritual nourishment, things that are beneficial to the person. Being depressed can be a wake-up call. A person drinks and then has a bad accident, and boom, that can't happen again. If they don't stop drinking, they're going to lose their driver's license and stuff. Depression can be a wake-up call also. Now, if we are going through a depressed experience or know somebody close to us that we're concerned about, what can we do? We need to really help them gain control of their thoughts and feelings. When you try to make them happy, when you entertain them, when you hug them and say little lies of encouragement that are not true, but want, to make them feel better because it sounds good, that's not going to work. How can we patiently allow a person to struggle and give them the resources, but have them really ask for help, take the first step, be motivated to do something positive? Depression is a motivational deficiency. What can make that person positive? Sometimes it's not easy. There are feelings that we don't understand. Once there was a poor girl who was withdrawn and depressed and kind of doing bad things. And she really didn't know what she wanted. And by chance, I guess her sister had a little daughter. And by chance, to get her to participate in something, it was discovered that she enjoyed reading stories to the child. That's beautiful. We need to encourage things that a person can want to do and do on their own and help that grow. Sometimes they've lacked that kind of development as a child. We want to be sympathetic and empathetic and work with that person and encourage them, but not force them to be happy, not threaten them. If you don't recover, you're going to be punished. No, that's not the way to do it. We need to have the healing, cooperate with the healing process. In our current state of society, there's a lot of prejudice, hostility, and fear. And people are kind of withdrawn. And in a sense, you can have a societal depression too. If we believe that God provides faith and hope, and we can encourage people to seek that and ask for that and participate in that, it doesn't necessarily speed up the healing process. We're not doing a time-lapse photography in going from a frown to a smile. But each individual works at their own rate, and we need to be patient and work with that person and not threaten them with failure. This is a situation where we want a person to discover that they are of value, that they have something to contribute, that they can do something they thought they can't, and love them enough to give them a chance. And we can challenge ourselves to be positive in our attitude, look for the good in things, and be a positive influence to each person we meet. When you are praying, healing, comforting other people, they look to you for help. And we can certainly have that positive effect on people with depression. Okay, this concludes our discussion today. Next time, we're going to talk about the isotonic diet, which is a new word I'll explain next time.